got one? Everything you need?
Just be careful.
Of course, of course. Wait till people finish walking.
Good afternoon and welcome. The first line of my remarks here is, I will ask you to remain standing for a moment. So I'm not exactly sure why that's there, but if I could ask you to stand for a moment. On the fly. It is certainly a pleasure for me to welcome all of you, our guest speaker, alumni Gary Briggs, Reverend Lingle, Board President Tom Conheeney, Upper School Head Marnie Sedlusky, parents, trustees, siblings, students, friends, grandparents, teachers, administrators, and most importantly, our graduates. It certainly is a wonderful day to celebrate this class of 2017, and it seems as if the weather is going to hold just perfectly. I'm very pleased now to introduce Reverend Mark Lingle, who will deliver the invocation.
Let us pray. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Blessed are you, O Lord our God, creator of the universe. We give thanks for the beauty of this day, the serendipity of this moment, and the wonder of life. We celebrate the myriad gifts of the mind, the body, and the heart, the discovery of passions that give meaning and purpose to life. And on this day, the commencement of the next chapter in life for the King class of 2017. Bless the ceremony and all who gather to celebrate the intellectual, artistic, athletic, and communal interests and accomplishments of these graduates. Thank you for the love and support of parents, siblings, friends, grandparents, faculty, board members, volunteers, and staff who have had a hand in preparing these graduates to grow and to flourish in an ever-changing world. May those who graduate this day continue to develop more fully into who it is they are to be, and help them share their gifts for the enrichment of our common humanity. Make us mindful of our connection one to another and with this world, our island home. May we recognize the divine spark in the other, seek and always serve to honor the dignity of every human being. Amen.
Please remain standing. Please join me in welcoming the King Choir as they sing the Star-Spangled Banner. So welcome once again. I think a couple of thank yous are in order before we begin. Thank you to our Board of Trustees for their steady, deeply committed, and visionary leadership. The board has done so much for this school, and than really anybody could know, and precisely because the board does most of its work quietly and invisibly and do not call for recognition, but we should know that they are a big part of everybody's success and all of these graduates' success. Thank you so much to our exceptional faculty for the tireless work that you have done with all of these graduates, and many of them are up here right now, and all of those classes that preceded this group and will succeed this group. And while we think primarily of upper school teachers when we're at a graduation like this, it's so important to remember that so many of these students have been here since pre-K or K or 1 or 2, and so there are so many King teachers, past and present, pre-K through grade 12, who've worked with this class as they've approached this day. They all deserve our thanks, and I'd love to give them a round of applause right now. And a special thanks to all of the parents of these seniors for all that you have done to support our school, but mostly for trusting us with your children each and every day. I never take that for granted. I think that is a really big deal. I hope that all of you, now as parents of alums, will continue to be connected and active members of our King community. Each year, I try and say something that might resonate about a class, or I assemble data about a class, or I try to characterize them in a certain way. This year, I came across a quotation and a story, and I found them both fascinating, especially in how I thought I could connect the two of them in speaking about this class. So the quotation is very simply, quote, "A graduation ceremony is an event where the commencement speaker tells dozens of students dressed in identical caps and gowns that individuality is the key to success," end quote. I think it's an interesting passage to bring up in a school that focuses on personalizing and the value of the individual. Our deep commitment to the individual is powerful, and yet we, like almost every other school, have all of our graduating seniors up here on stage looking identical. Certainly a conundrum. So as I thought about this, I decided to tell a short, very traditional commencement story. Some of you may have heard it, but I think it works for this group, and I think it helps illustrate how this intense value of personalizing and the individual can reside in something that appears so uniform. It's about golf balls and lemonade, and you'll have to stay with me for a little while on this. So, a professor stood in front of his philosophy class with a large mason jar. When the class began, he picked up the jar and he filled it with golf balls. He then looked at his students and he asked if the jar was full. They all said yes. The professor then picked up a large handful of pebbles, poured them into the jar, and shook it, and the pebbles settled into all the open areas. He again asked if the jar was full. The answer was again yes. The professor then took a cup of sand and poured that into the jar, and the sand filled the remaining space in the jar. The students were now convinced that the jar was full. Finally, the professor took a large glass of lemonade from under his desk, a really large glass, and poured it into the jar, which absorbed the entire glass of lemonade. Now, the students were wondering where this story might go, and you might be too, but the professor drifted into his philosophical metaphor and made his point. The golf balls are everything that's truly important in your life: family, health, friends. Make sure to prioritize and care for them, and be sure the jar always has space for them. The pebbles are everything that matters: job, house, car. Know what they are and care for them. The sand is the small stuff. Do not sweat it. Don't worry about it. The lemonade is the fun, the joy. Don't forget to have it. Even when the jar looks really full, you can never forget to enjoy yourself. Always drink lemonade. The teacher finished by reminding the students to keep this prioritization in mind and to be acutely aware that if they filled the mason jar with sand first, there would be no room for golf balls or pebbles. The small stuff that you should not sweat can prevent you from attending to the most important things in life. I love this story for this group of seniors as it tracks back to the quotation on uniformity, because I think they are uniform or the same in just one very important way: their understanding and deep awareness of what is truly important to them. These individuals on this stage understand their priorities, and they are deeply committed to those priorities uniformly. They do not fill the jar with sand first. Their attention is on the important stuff. Where they differ profoundly is in what is important to them. They have such incredibly varying and different priorities. Their goals are big, their core values are strong, they are passionate, and they are relentless about so many different things. Some have deep commitments to priorities that are a bit more school traditional, like athletics, or the arts, or English, or math, or history. And some have stepped into some new ground, whether that be a particular political commitment, or diving into an investment strategy, or working to develop our leadership distinction, or presenting at our first STEM colloquium, or flying drones in the PAC or high above homecoming, or creating fantastic original films, or committing deeply to service, and so much more. Their priorities, their commitments, what is important to them ranges far and wide, but their passionate and relentless approach to these priorities does not. And so, it is appropriate for them to be on stage uniformly, but do not mistake that for uniformity. This is a tremendous group of individuals, a group that leaves us forever changed and better for their vital and varied presence here. As Ms. Sadlusky said last night, they are an impact class. They impacted us. They will impact their next educational community. They will impact their chosen professional communities and their families in all of the right ways, and in so many different ways, as they have shown us that they are able to keep their eye on the ball, what is most important to them. It's a truly wonderful group. So I'm going to switch gears now. I'm out of the golf ball story, and I'm going to switch gears and talk a little bit about the lifers that are here, because there are some lifers that have been around for quite a while. And so I'm going to ask them to stand when I call their name, and if you would just hold your applause until they're all standing, and then I have a couple of comments at the end. I started grade 1, attending King for 12 years, Flynn McMorrow. Attending for 13 years, beginning in kindergarten, Jonathan Richter, Katie Charkalis, Brandon Ross, and I'll explain that, Sam Ellers, Susie Savage, and then students starting in pre-K 4, 14 years. Rachel Sherman, Sidney Gubner, Caroline Benjamin, Peter Green, Owen Bass, Carl Zobek, James Michalski. Very impressive. Together, this group of 13 lifers represents 175 years of attendance here at King School. Unbelievable. Now, just Now, to be fair, 3 of these students left King briefly, but all 3 had the sense to come back. So I am allowed to give them full credit for all of those years. So I have one more thing I want to talk about, and it's connected to lifers. There is another lifer here at King that I'd like to spend a minute on, one that is not up here on the stage. Griff Titus worked in maintenance at King for almost 40 years. He cut the grass, he plowed the snow, he prepared the baseball and softball fields, he lined the fields. He was here at 5 or 5:30 every morning opening up the school. The school really was his family. He loved King. His commitment to our community was beyond measure. You may never have spoken to him, but I bet some of you did. But you would recognize Griff if you saw him. There's no doubt about that. He was a fine, decent, humble man. He passed away a few months ago. He was in his mid-70s, and he worked at King for the majority of this year, so it was relatively sudden, and he left us. Griff Titus left the school the majority of his estate, close to $400,000. He gave his best to the school for 40 years, and then he left us with a gift that will impact classes for the next forever. It really is something absolutely tremendous. And so what I thought we would do today is make Griff an honorary member of this class of 2017 and honor his memory with a round of applause. So thank you all for listening so patiently, and it is now my pleasure to welcome Mr. Tom Conheeney, President of the Board of Trustees, to the podium.
Thanks, Tom, and thanks for sharing with the group that wonderful story about Griff. That's really terrific. On behalf of the Board of Trustees at King School, welcome to parents, family, friends, alumni, faculty, administrators, trustees, and our keynote speaker, Gary Briggs of Facebook, who's also a King's class of 1980 alumni. Welcome, and most importantly, congratulations to the graduating class of 2017. You did it, guys. Today is about celebrating your accomplishments. Look around you at the incredible support network you have out here in the audience. All these people cheering you on. Take some time today to thank your parents, your family members, mentors and peers, and of course your teachers. All of these people have played a role in making you the person you are today. The love and support that you have received from them and the lessons that you've learned at your time here at King will influence you far into the future. On that note, I want to share some stories about 2 of my teachers who had a profound influence on me. And these were not my college professors, by the way. These were teachers from elementary and middle school years. Back in the mid-90s, when I was stepping into my first role as president of a financial services firm, I received a phone call. Not a text, but a personal phone call from my 4th grade teacher, Mrs. Shannon. She was calling to congratulate me. Now, this was back before social media and, yes, Gary, even before Facebook. And she really had to make an effort to track me down. That phone call meant so much to me, taking the time to call to let me know that she truly cared about me. She told me how proud she was of me and that she always knew I would be a successful leader someday. I have tried to pay that kindness back forward by making the effort to recognize and appreciate the important people in my own life. You never go wrong by doing that. I also had a 6th grade teacher, Mr. Levine, who was one of the first teachers I had to introduce us to an open classroom concept. The idea was to reward and encourage good behavior, good responsible behavior. So to do this, Mr. Levine created something called the Black Patch. If you were doing AB work and behaving according to the school rules, you were afforded a certain number of liberties. You could earn free time during the school day and sit in a special cubicled area to do classwork in an independent area. I was proud to be a guy who earned and benefited from that Black Patch. He also introduced us to the concept of social responsibility. We created a business framework and did cool projects like silk screening and making bumper stickers to raise money. And then we donated the proceeds from those bumper stickers to the Children's Specialized Hospital locally. Does this sound familiar to everybody? Because we do a lot of this at King. Mr. Levine taught me a lot of things, but the lessons of working hard to achieve a goal and the importance of philanthropy are two concepts that have stuck with me throughout my life. I give you these examples of how our teachers help to mold and shape our lives because I don't think we recognize them enough for it. Whether you realize it right now or not, your teachers and other members of the King family have given you a rock-solid foundation to build on as you move on to college, begin your careers, a little wind, and for those of you who choose to have families of your own. As you prepare to step into the next exciting phase of life, you're going to find that life isn't always a smooth ride. You'll need to be ready for a few curveballs, the roommate that doesn't work out, the boss that's impossible to please, or the coach that cut you from the team. If you can use the King 4 virtues of integrity, kindness, perseverance, and respect to guide how you respond to what happens to you, what decisions you make, and the way you treat people, you'll enjoy a fulfilling life and you'll be a role model for those around you. This brings me to the reason we're all here today, to recognize you. This class has accomplished so much, and you have done an outstanding job of walking the walk on King's virtues. When I think of the integrity virtue, I think of the students who created the King leadership distinction, an idea that came from some of you in this class. To recognize excellent leadership and character. I promise you that these are two things that will set you apart from everybody else when you get out there in the real world. When I think of the kindness virtue, I think about all of you who participated in the King Care Service Program. Whether you were preparing and serving food for the new Covenant Soup Kitchen, participating in the 5K run to support kids in need, or volunteering to help with the prevention of cruelty to animals. You will have so many opportunities to continue paying it forward in your lifetime, and there will always be room for more kindness in the world. That I can guarantee. When I think about perseverance, there are so many examples of how your hard work and perseverance has paid off again. This year, we take great pride in the impressive list of colleges and universities where our students have been accepted and will attend next fall. And how about your classmate who placed second worldwide in Division II of the Physics Bowl? Or the senior art students who exhibited their work at the Katona Museum of Art and impressed us all with the Senior Art Colloquium? Or those of you who earned merit scholarships to top colleges and universities. This class actually reported over $4.5 million in academic money from schools that accepted them this year. And let's not forget that this class also has 7 student athletes who have been actively recruited to participate in college athletics. From volleyball at West Point to crew at Harvard, that didn't happen by accident. That happened because of your dedication and your perseverance. How about the members of the volleyball and football teams who brought home New England championships this year, and the boys lacrosse winning the FAA championship for the first time? Hard work, dedication, and of course, perseverance. When I think about our respect virtue, I think about the mutual respect for other cultures King has encouraged through our Global Studies program. Many of you were able to attend the Global Education Leadership Symposium this winter, entitled Fostering Citizenship in a Rapidly Changing World. You tackled topics like ethical leadership and developing leaders who communicate globally and cross-culturally, topics that breed respect and understanding of other cultures. I also think of the students who have been selected for the Princeton Prize on Race Relations, and those students who have worked to address diversity at our school. I am very proud of all of the young men and women in this class, and I am proud of King for preparing you so well for the next leg in the relay race of life. I hope that you stay connected to the place that served you as your launching pad to success. Be assured that My fourth grade teacher, like my fourth grade teacher, Mrs. Shannon, members of the King family will be rooting you on from the sidelines and will be noticing your accomplishments. Today, I want to leave you with a few of my own rules to live by. They've served me well, so I'll pass them on to you. First, go beyond your comfort zone. Take smart risks. It's easy to be satisfied with the status quo. Anyone can do that. But this is the time to explore, to take chances, to try new things. You are never done learning in this life. Push yourself to take challenging courses or courses outside of your major that you have never been exposed to before. Think about studying abroad for a semester. Take on leadership roles in your dorm or your sorority or your fraternity, or perhaps a student club of your choice. Play an intramural sport or do another activity to meet people outside of your usual circle of friends. Your college years are going to go quickly. Capitalize on the investment and the investment of your parents, and make the most of your experience. Second, find your passion. You may already know what it is. Perhaps your involvement in World Concern SOS has made you passionate about social justice issues, or your involvement in the debate club has poised you for a career in law. Maybe you have no idea what your passion is yet, and that's okay. I assure you, you're not the only one. But by going beyond your comfort zone and trying new things, you're bound to find work that truly motivates you instead of settling for something that just pays the bills. Can you excel at something without being passionate? Absolutely. But your career and your life will be much more rewarding and a heck of a lot more fun if you truly love what you do. Finally, build your personal brand. You're stepping into a world where not everyone knows you. It's a rare opportunity to redefine yourself. What do you want people to know about you? What do you want to be known for? Once you've figured that out, protect your brand. Think about your actions, because your actions speak much louder than your words. Think about how others may view you through the social media lens. And if you come to a fork in the road where you're facing a tough decision on what to do and how to act, you can count on integrity, kindness, perseverance, and respect to lead you in the right direction. As I congratulate you on your graduation, I want to remind you that you are now officially a member of the King School Alumni Network. Stay connected. Your teachers, coaches, and administrators want to hear how you're faring. And if things aren't going well, and this is really important, reach out to them. They are here for you, and they will help you in any way they can. We want to see you come back to homecoming, to your class reunions, and to participate in alumni activities. Contact our alumni coordinator. Let us know your email and phone number so we can keep you informed. Maybe someday you'll be coming back to speak at graduation like our next speaker. You and your families are lifetime members of the King community. So on behalf of the Board of Trustees, I want to thank you for all you have given to King. We hope you will tell others about your positive experience and encourage them to consider coming to King as well. You are our best ambassadors. We are proud of the school we are today and excited about the future possibilities for this place so many of us call home. So congratulations to the graduates and the parents of the class of 2017.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marnie Sidleski, and I have the privilege of serving as the head of upper school here at King. It is my pleasure to introduce the valedictorian of the class of 2017. My first encounter with this exceptional young scholar and humanitarian came when she was in 9th grade and had recently returned from what must have been the grade 9 class trip to Boston, so right at the beginning of the year. I remember asking her, along with some friends who were standing with her, how 9th grade was going so far. And she looked at me with one of the brightest, warmest smiles I have ever seen and said, "It's great!" and then proceeded to burst into peals of laughter for quite some time. I remember thinking, wow, what an enthusiastic kid. I wish everyone felt this way about 9th grade. So the other day, during our STEM capstone project presentations, I remembered that laugh because I heard it ringing from the front row as she responded to her peers' jokes during their presentations. But that laugh now carries so much more resonance for me than just enthusiasm about ninth grade or a class trip or even a STEM presentation. That laugh comes from Nisha Chandra, who embodies, as one of her teachers has said, the virtues of a true scholar and citizen of the world and a truly joyful, enthusiastic learner. Let me give you some examples of what I mean. Nisha certainly is a scholar, and one marker of that fact is a 4.5 GPA for her senior year and a cumulative high school GPA of 4.46 across 21 advanced level courses. But the most important markers of her identity as a scholar are not about numbers. As Mr. Galanopoulos explains, Nisha has distinguished herself with her, quote, critical thinking, her carefully defended arguments, her wonderful ability to contextualize and synthesize ideas and events in her interpretations of history. Her excellence in mathematics isn't just about numbers either. It's about her ability to have an opinion in math, to speak math, or as Dr. Kishnashenko says, to write elegant solutions, to use math to gain deep understanding of, say, Plato's forms in a philosophy class. Her identity as a scholar has radiated as she is engaged in STEM projects, the math team, the Model UN team, and as she earned recognition over the last several years with prizes in biology, chemistry, and math, but also in citizenship and service, diversity and inclusion, global leadership, and even just 2 days ago, as Mr. Kanhini mentioned, was awarded the Princeton Prize for Race Relations. As those last examples of her scholarly commitment suggest, Nisha's scholarship has tended during her time at King to focus on complex global humanitarian issues and crises. Her teachers consistently point to her empathy and mature sense of human suffering. Her college counselor, Jessica Landis, points to her ability, likely nurtured by living in multiple countries and in a variety of cultural contexts, to form, quote, friendships across ethnic, religious, and socioeconomic lines, unquote. Her STEM interests led her to an internship and capstone research project focusing on Alzheimer's disease. But Nisha's humanitarian interests also extend to humans a bit closer to home, and she is widely considered to be a wonderful friend and engaged King community member. And even closer to home, she chose to write her college essay about her afternoons talking about topics both political and personal with her father on a couch. In that essay, she writes, quote, as I consider what I stand for and whom I stand with, I'll always be grateful to my dad and the couch for giving me those days in which I was once an eager student and impassioned equal. Thank you, Nisha, for bringing your whole bright, compassionate, and interested self to King School and for engaging fully with all King offers its students. We know you will continue to develop your scholarly and humanitarian passions at Princeton University this fall and beyond. Ladies and gentlemen, this year's valedictorian, Nisha Chandra.
Hi, everyone. I want to thank you all for being here and Ms. Sadlowski for the amazing introduction. But I especially want to thank the people that helped get me here. First, thank you to my family. As lame as this is for me to say, you guys are probably the coolest people I know. And you're also literally never going to hear me say that again, so please enjoy it. Thank you to the King faculty. This may come as a huge surprise to everyone, but teenagers are not always the most appreciative human beings. So I want all of my teachers to know that you never made it seem like being caring was a chore. This author, Zig Ziglar, he said that people often say that motivation doesn't last. Well, neither does bathing. That's why we recommend it daily. So, yeah, at this point, all of us on this stage probably need to start learning how to metaphorically bathe ourselves. I would say physically too, but I don't know what you guys are into. So, yeah. But the point is that daily motivation has always come from the group of teachers sitting to my right. And it didn't come reluctantly, it didn't come with conditions, it was just always there. And a quick side note on unappreciative teenagers. If you were hypothetically late to first period and or second period, maybe every single day this year in a hypothetical world, then you might still somehow end up being valedictorian, but you would feel really, really guilty. Yeah, and you would hope that your teachers would hypothetically forgive you. That wasn't about me, but if it had been, I would say, for real, I am so sorry, Miss Sales. Yeah, and last, thank you to the class of 2017. I just want to say, if you are not ready for the real world yet, it is okay because we still have college. Yeah, it's fine, really. But once we do get out there, really, I know that these people up here are going to go wherever they want to go. And I don't know where that is, because I don't even know where it is for me. But I know that you guys are going to go wherever the heck you want to go. It's hard to get up here and talk about what King really embodies. And I'm not just talking about our list of freaking school virtues. Oh, no offense, Mr. Conahini. Sorry about that. No, the reason that it's hard to talk about the essence of our school is because King had this way of surprising me. Most of my classmates already know this, but I came here as a freshman from an international school in Zambia. And I was a little nervous about how that particular fact about me would be received. Nervous about what kinds of questions people would ask me about Zambia. And yeah, so basically I had a lot of expectations about King, and some of them were not so great. And honestly, once in a while, these not so great expectations came true. But for every time they did, there were 100 other times when the people at this school shattered my expectations entirely. Entirely. Yeah, so every time that I was expecting indifference, I found some serious backbone. Every time I was expecting scorn, I found curiosity. I found kids in every grade who just made it seem like being accepting was the easiest thing in the world, and it's not. I found a group of friends, y'all know who you are, and yeah, I just want to say that without you guys, I would be a much worse version of myself. So thank you. So yeah, King is pretty far from perfect, but you will always find people here that surprise you. Now, I'm not gonna get up here and try and pretend that I'm going to miss each and every single one of you, because yeah, no, that would be a total alternative fact, because I honestly won't. Seriously, I will not. But yeah, that's true. I'll miss you. But yeah, even though, okay. That's okay, thank you. Even though I may not remember all of you, I had moments with all of you. Moments where you meant something to me. And meaning something to someone in a single moment, that counts for a whole lot. There were moments when I sat in the academic center with a bunch of other seniors who made me laugh so hard that this horrible cackle would find its way out of me, and I would be inevitably shushed by Dr. K. There were moments when I sat at lunch listening to the table's conversation switch back and forth between politics and things that I would definitely be asked to edit out of the speech because this seems like a PG-13 kind of event. There were moments when people in the grade that I'd hardly talked to before asked me if I was okay. So, yeah, I'm not going to remember a lot of you. Most of you will forget that I ever even gave this speech. And most of the relationships that we formed here are probably going to end sooner rather than later. Yeah, sorry, it's true. But in spite of all of that, there were so many moments, so many incredible moments at this school with this fantastic grade of people where each of you meant something to me. And that is not nothing. In fact, I think that it is something infinitely wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now proceed with the awarding of prizes. Are you ready? The Alumni Prize. The Alumni Prize is awarded to the member of the senior class who gives most promise of an adult sense of responsibility and obligation to the community, and who, in maturity, intelligence, and altruism, seems best fitted to take a place in the world. The Alumni Prize is presented to Nisha Chandra. The Upper School Prize is awarded to a member of the senior class who, through scholastic and athletic or artistic achievements, leadership, and versatile and positive contributions to the life of the school, has earned the recognition of the faculty. The Upper School Prize is presented to Richard Jove. The Faculty Prize is awarded to a member of the senior class who, through character, intelligence, and thoughtfulness, has won the respect of the faculty. The Faculty Prize is awarded to Kayla Lichman. The Ann Ayres Herrick Award goes to the senior who, through loyalty, integrity, and friendliness, has contributed most to King's high standards of character. This award is voted on by the entire upper school, both faculty and students. The Ann Ayres Herrick Award is awarded to Callie Bartimer. Tom Main will introduce the McDermott Award.
Is Doug McDermott here? Is Caroline McDermott here? Okay. The Patricia McDermott Faculty Summer Sabbatical Grant is given in memory of Patricia McDermott, and it was going to be awarded by Doug McDermott, but it will be awarded by Tom Main. So the following comes from the application of the Patricia McDermott, of the winner of the Patricia McDermott Faculty Summer Sabbatical Grant. My decision to design an elective course for the fall of 2017 on Modern Ireland grew out of my interest and passion for Irish history. While there are a variety of topics that are critical for an investigation of Ireland's history, the growth and evolution of Irish nationalism is an enduring theme in the nation's story. Since the 18th century, numerous Irish independence movements have emerged in order to free Ireland from the power of the British Crown. I am developing an extensive reading list for the summer, allowing me to explore various perspectives and interpretations of Irish nationalism through the modern era. In addition, I am applying for a summer sabbatical to investigate the murals of Northern Ireland. A sabbatical would provide me with a unique opportunity to study the development and transformation of communal identity in neighborhoods during and after the most recent Irish independence movement commonly known as the Troubles. The McDermott Faculty Summer Sabbatical Grant is awarded to Patrick O'Neill. Tom Conheeney will now introduce Gary Briggs.
Thanks, Tom. So we're very lucky to have Gary Briggs here today. Gary graduated from King in 1980. In 2015, Gary was kind enough to join us as a presenter in our Sesquicentennial Speaker Series. I can still say that word, sesquicentennial. I've practiced it so much. During that speech, Gary shared that he feels that the education and nurturing he received at King was formative in his own life. During Gary's time at King, he served as student council vice president, edited the yearbook, played on the soccer team. In the King yearbook, his parents took out an ad congratulating the class of 1980, saying they were a fine group of young men, onward and upward. Well, onward indeed. Gary then earned a BA in political science and American civilization from Brown University and an MBA from Kellogg Graduate School of Management at Northwestern. He has held a number of leadership roles at companies including PepsiCo, IBM, eBay, PayPal, and Google. Since August 2013, Gary has served as Chief Marketing Officer and Vice President of Facebook. This past month in May, Gary was inducted into the Marketing Hall of Fame in recognition of those making outstanding contributions to marketing and inspiring the next generation. Thank you to Gary for joining us today to celebrate the class of 2017 and to honor King's long tradition of educational excellence. I give you Gary.
Good afternoon, everybody. Before I briefly start, Nisha, you should know that I actually have the King values tattooed on my left thigh. So that's just not something you should just dismiss out of hand. It's been my path, but it may not be yours. First off, all joking aside, actually, I had a chance to talk to a couple of the members of the class this afternoon, and really appreciate Lauren showing me around today. But congratulations to you all. I think you will come to realize how fortunate you have been to have been here at this school and among these people. And Nisha, I do think your honesty was actually pretty true. If I found myself when I was listening to your remarks, I was thinking of kind of headlines and subheadlines of some of my classmates, which at the time was 29 boys, by the way, with King at the time. But there really are so many movies about high school for a reason. And most of those movies are actually awkward coming-of-age comedies, and that's what just happened to you. Kind of true, right? That one's for John Hughes, if anybody knows the reference. So it may take a while to realize it, but that is what just happened. I would also say congrats to your parents, many of whom are looking forward to creating new dens, home offices, and workout rooms in the bedrooms you now occupy. And lastly, actually, the teachers. I was walking around today and had such great memories of the teachers that I was here with, and I went here from second grade through 12. You really do something extraordinary every year, and you bring knowledge to high schoolers who are sometimes unwilling to receive it, I would say. From someone who has had 37 years now to reflect on that reality, it is some serious commitment. Now, as mentioned, I graduated from King in 1980, and I've always wanted to have the opportunity to stand at this podium and simply say two things. Thank you for all the patience and commitment to teaching me far beyond what was in my textbooks, And also, I want to apologize for not reading some of my textbooks. There was a lot of reading, but I'll get to that later. Okay, let's get to it. There are three things that I'd like to talk to you about today. Now, I know the pluses and minuses of saying three things. The plus is that you now have a sense of the structure of what I'm about to say. The minus is that, for me, you're going to be counting and impatiently waiting for me to get to three so that you know at least when I'm close to done. But I hope what I have to share is worth the wait. There's a game you can play with a new group of people when you get together that's called an icebreaker. Something to get you to know the other people in a simple way. And one common game is two truths and a lie. You come up with three things, and the other people have to guess which one is a lie. For example, I might say to you, I've worked with someone who is a cold case murderer. I've been chased by a car, and my wife has carried another friend's baby. You have to guess when one is a lie. And I'll get to that answer later. So let me set out for you the three things, and I hope you remember the lie and the truth behind it more than the other things I say today. Nisha, that's to you. And the three things are finding a path or career that's right for you, achieving work-life balance as you do it, and how all that can lead to some definition of success. Now, I've been fortunate to work in technology, and in particular Silicon Valley, for the past 20 years. And as a result, I have a sense of tech trends and where we are in the arc of technology, I like to think. And aside from the question I often get of, what's Mark Zuckerberg like? He's actually, I can talk about it later too. I get asked about what someone's kid needs to do to get a job at eBay, Google, Instagram, or Facebook. And yes, I totally know that a bunch of you are in the caps and gowns, spend more time on Snapchat, including Jonathan Richter. You just don't have to rub it in my face. Now, one of the traits we look for at Facebook that I think was taught to me at King was to be curious and to want to learn. For me, I've always been curious about pop culture and why people do what they do, what people call consumer behavior. I read a lot of magazines, I watched a lot of TV, and I saw a lot of movies growing up. I grew up in a very creative family. My father was in advertising, my mother was an artist and a teacher. My sister is a writer, my brother a photographer, my uncle was a cartoonist. I was better at math. Well, to be clear, that's a relative statement. If you asked Mr. Wallace, I was okay at math. He was here, by the way, when I was here, which is extraordinary. So best wishes to Mr. Wallace on getting better. Well, it turned out when the internet started to grow that people who were both creative and good at math were in demand. My point here is simple. I've been lucky and fortunate. But my question to you is, what are you truly curious about? When you have time to do what you want to do, it has to be something that actually can be a career. You with the wandering minds, what is that thing? And think about how that can be your profession. Take classes in that area. In college, take a range of classes and get yourself to be uncomfortable. Talk to people who do those jobs. Experiment with different facets of it. And I would say you likely have a ridiculous access in a community like this to people who have an interest in helping you. Just ask them about their stories and they'll likely share them and help you. For me, I simply offered a guy a beer from a keg at a fundraiser for my local congressman, a gentleman named Stuart McKinney, when I was 21. And that led to my first marketing job at Pepsi. I wasn't even going to go to that fundraiser that day. I was home, I'd fallen asleep watching a baseball game with my dad, because baseball's, you can fall asleep during baseball. And, but my dad encouraged me to go, and that was a total fluke and led it to my first job in marketing. So I'd say it's not enough to want to be a doctor, a lawyer, a banker, or even a marketer. Those are labels and not fulfillment. What do you want to learn a massive amount about and do most days of your life? Let's start with that question. Second, we're now on number 2, by the way. In regards to schoolwork or a job after college, particularly in this always connected world, You will struggle with how you balance your work and non-work life. Work-life balance is talked about a lot, but I've learned that I think it's really the wrong discussion. If you start with working in an area that is fulfilling for you, the stress level of work is reduced. Doing something you enjoy, quite simply, is less taxing than something you don't. But interestingly, we've looked at this pretty extensively at Facebook. When we review employee surveys, there's actually no correlation between how people rate their work-life balance and their desire to stay at Facebook, nor their job satisfaction. What drives that desire is whether they're doing work that is fulfilling. Work-life balance is up to you. That is true in school or a job. You have to make choices, learn how to work smarter. In particular, you may not realize this, but King has actually trained you well here. One of the benefits of so much schoolwork is that you started to learn what work you actually have to do and what you don't. As I said, I didn't read everything I was told to read. That was my way to get balance and to choose what to learn. Another approach I've learned is called work-life integration. How well do you make explicit choices about how you spend your time? Reed Hastings, who's the founder of Netflix and on the board of Facebook, talks about this idea of work-life integration. He made an agreement with his family that he's away no more than 10 days per month. Any dinners, conferences, or travel has to fit into those days. It forces him to make clear trade-offs rather than succumb to the priorities of others. How you work, what you do, and how well you choose is up to you. The people I know who have the best balance make choices all the time, and they don't let other people's priorities dominate their own. Okay, so let's take a quick break and look at the clock. We got 2 down. First, in finding a fulfilling career, my belief is to determine what you are innately curious about and head that way. Second, you have to balance your life to make clear choices and not simply respond to the priorities of others. And so if you do these 2 things, you choose fulfilling work and choose to find balance, as you do it, we can move on to finding success on your own terms. And off you go, right? So there it is. I left it as the 3rd point, the lie, the setup for success. The fact is, in my experience in my own life, and in my observations of others, success does not rest on the right career or work-life balance. It rests on something we don't talk that much about: love. Who you choose to love as your companion in life, and who you choose to love you back, who is going to love you. God, I didn't think this was going to happen, actually, I gotta say. Who you choose to love you not just for who you are, but grow with you to be the person you will become. It is the decisions you make about love that are the foundation of everything else. Now, I may expect there are a few in the audience who are thinking, so this guy flies in from California, he's going to talk to me about feelings, he's crying, that's just great. So, what I would say is, while love certainly is a feeling, it is also very much a choice. And my biggest recommendation to the graduating class is you have been trained to this point about college and careers and success. And those things are important. Certainly, people who graduate from college massively out-earn those who don't. Well, excluding, of course, the founders of Microsoft, Facebook, and Snapchat. But they are the total outliers that do prove the rule. I have seen more careers go sideways because someone just didn't choose the right partner in love. Now, absolutely, people recover from choices gone wrong, but it is harder and more complicated. For me, the main reason I'm here today is because of my wife and her love and belief in me. First of all, I went to King when it was all boys, so I can't say that I ever had any game at all. She asked me out. But we put as much thought and have put as much work in deciding to marry and how we grow together as any job. No one really tells you this. We are so focused on the external definitions of success that we don't talk about the most important one that defines your most central relationship. Now, as far as getting to Facebook, I had had a series of pretty short roles in my career up until I was nearly 40. I had worked places from 2 to 4 years. I cannot say it was destined to be asked to speak at this commencement, as an example. but I've always been open to taking risks. And about 15 years ago, I asked my wife to move what we thought at the time was one more time, after two people I worked with at Pepsi asked me to consider moving to California. I interviewed at eBay when it was about 250 people in headquarters. And I simply told my wife, Catherine, who's sitting here today, that I was energized by the place in a way I hadn't been before, and she supported me enough to say, let's go. And it's through my 6+ years at eBay that I met Sheryl Sandberg and then Mark Zuckerberg, and here I am. But to me, that's not success. I know that is some definition of it, but it's something random, filled with luck and timing, and certainly some perseverance. What I want you to consider is that you have so much ahead of you and have been so schooled in how to learn and head on the path to success. And I think if you put as much thought and consideration into who you love and to who is to love you, that you have a higher chance of a wonderful, fulfilling livelihood in life. You have time. You will fall in and out of love. You may have already. But start to think about who you want to grow with when you choose who you're going to love, who can partner with you to challenge you and believe in you when nothing is really assured. And on that foundation, if you head toward what drives your curiosity and choose how to prioritize what's around you to be balanced, you will define your own success. Congratulations, graduate. To the graduates, celebrate what you've earned, rejoice in what's to come, and avoid the lie of others' definitions of success. Make the commitment to take all your talents to find the right love for you, and I'm hopeful those around you will learn this truth from you as well. And oh, by the way, as to the setup of our two truths and a lie, I have worked with someone who turned out to be a murderer. My wife did carry a friend's child, and I've never been chased by a car. Thank you. Lastly, I just want to say to the class of 2017, thank you so much for your attention. Be safe this summer. Get a lot of rest. You're going to need it for college.
Thank you so much, Gary. We're now going to welcome the choir again.
I
now my pleasure to introduce the senior class captain, Michael Johnson, who led the Senior Parent Annual Fund Drive this year. We're very thankful for his efforts. Michael Johnson.
Thank you. My name is Michael Johnson. In addition to being a proud parent of a graduating senior, a parent of a graduate 4 short years ago, and a parent of a rising junior, I serve on the Board of Trustees at King and also serve as the co-chair of the annual fund with Amy Silverfine, who frankly does all the work, and with our outstanding development team. On behalf of the board chair, Tom Conhini, my fellow trustees, and the administration at King, I'd like to personally thank our parents for the support of both the annual fund and the legacy fund. I'm honored to share with you the contributions the senior class parents have made to the annual fund and the legacy fund. Collectively, we've contributed $407,000 to the annual fund. Additionally, we've contributed $171,000 to the legacy fund. This is an endowed fund which was created last year as a gift from each graduating class, and to date, we have raised a total of $335,000. The Legacy Fund provides support for financial aid, faculty, and professional growth and development. Your leadership in these critical initiatives truly makes a significant difference. The Board of Trustees, the administration at King School, and I want to congratulate the senior class and give you, our parents, a big thank you for your support.
Thank you, Michael. It is a pleasure for me to introduce our senior speaker, Jonathan Richter. Jonathan has enjoyed a truly impressive career in the upper school here at King. A review of his transcript is more than impressive. In fact, I have rarely seen a student challenge him or herself quite so consistently or powerfully. Over his 4 years in the upper school, Jonathan took 10 honors and 9 AP courses. During his senior year, there is nothing on his transcript that does not include the AP designation. He was inducted into the Cum Laude Society as a junior. He has earned a STEM graduation distinction. This interest in STEM leaps from his transcript with courses like AP Chem, AP Physics, 2 AP Computer Science classes, BC Calculus, Honors Research and Development, C++ Programming, Aeronautics, and there is more. What is simple to see is that Jonathan has an intellectual prowess and a focus and a passion that all of us can really hold up as an example. And finally, on this subject, you should know that I did search Jonathan's full transcript for a grade below the A level, and I spent a little bit of time doing that and had absolutely no luck. Jonathan certainly made the most of his academic opportunities here at King. He left absolutely no stone unturned. He is a true scholar. And as exhausting as this academic life sounds, and it does sound absolutely exhausting, it would be unfair for me to limit my remarks to this corner of Jonathan's life, as he is truly a multi-talented and multi-involved individual. For example, this year he was captain, Fairchester All-League, All-New England, and most valuable of the varsity cross-country team. Cross-country is a challenging, demanding sport, and to lead and succeed at this level is rare. In fact, Jonathan's commitment to cross-country was long and meaningful, running all 4 years, winning the Coaches Award for 2 years, and actually earning All-New England status for both junior and senior year. And as if this is not enough, Jonathan found the time to be involved substantively in so many different areas, among them debate, service, math competitions. 2 comments from people that know him very well. Tom Castonguay, the STEM coordinator, said the following of Jonathan. The phrase, fire in the belly, comes to mind when I think of Jonathan. From the very beginning, it was clear that I was in the presence of an extraordinary individual. Mark Lingle, up on stage with us, one of his cross-country coaches, says, I have been privileged to know a few strong athletes who are wonderful individuals, full of intelligence, integrity, humor, courage, and grace. Jonathan is in that group. An enduring memory of Jonathan would be this fall, when I ran into him in the hall of the upper school at about 6 p.m. one day. He had just returned from a visit to the Sikorsky plant, where students had taken tours of and actually manipulated the controls of some pretty big, complicated helicopters. His enthusiasm and excitement at what he had learned and experienced was visceral. It was palpable. It was clear to me at that moment that this is a young man that loves to learn, not just for grades or for acknowledgement, but because it thrills him. Learning just thrills him. That is essential for true scholarship. It is a pleasure for me to welcome Jonathan Richter to the stage.
Sorry about that. Very long gown, and these caps, as Nisha ran into, are very hard to negotiate these days. Gotta talk to the supplier of that company. All right, so thank you very much, Mr. Main, for that introduction. And I just have a couple things I want to say. There are a few people that I need to thank and that I think the class of 2017 needs to thank, so let me just get started. And this tassel's gonna fly in my face. We'll see how that works out. On the behalf of the class of 2017, I want to thank all the faculty. We are grateful for your insight and thankful for your tolerance. Thank you to all the parents in the room. You have survived years, as Nisha put it, with teenage sons and daughters. That is not easy to do. Thank you to all the siblings in the room, brothers and sisters. You have made it this far without that cell phone. You only have to last a little bit longer in this tent. So I was gonna say at this point, this hot and annoying tent, but we actually have a really good day. We are blessed to be at 65 degrees and sunny. It's a very good thing. My next note on the agenda is, I don't know about you, but I was really tired of sitting in that chair. So if everyone wants to stand up, stretch out, class 2017, you want to stretch those legs really quickly? I know I want to. I'm gonna take a quick stretch for a break. And when you're all set and done, we can sit back down and get going on. Good, good, all right. It is an honor to be speaking here today. I started writing this speech with no guidance whatsoever. I was very lucky to be appointed to this position as class speaker, but no one told me what I had to say. So I did what any other student would do in this situation. I went onto Google and typed in, what do class speakers say? And I hope I found an answer suitable to you all. So let's go into the mission statement stuff. I'm gonna build off of Nisha here. Part of King's mission statement is to prepare its students to thrive in a rapidly changing world. So to thrive in this rapidly changing world, we must be able to, of course, rapidly change our views, skills, and knowledge. As we can tell in the world of technology, we have to change quickly. Well, when I see rapidly changing world, I really just see that as an extravagant way of saying think fast. Can you think on your feet and can you move quickly? So whoever wrote that on the website, they did a great job making something as simple as think fast sound very complicated. So I wanted to see, could the class of 2017 really think fast? I did some research, that's what's in the speech. And I first wanted to do a quick test. So Nisha, can you really think rapidly changing world for me? There we go, good. Thinking fast on the feet. So, as I planned this speech, I realized that we really have changed rapidly. And I think that we are ready for that rapidly changing world. I'm gonna give you a couple examples, and then that's really up for you all in the class to make that decision. Are we ready? So, during our middle school graduation, Mr. Walker, the former head, could only use one positive word to describe our class, and that was spirited. Sit back and think for what that means, what we did. He chose this because we managed to acquire a rap sheet a mile long. We have come a long way over the years, not only growing a foot or two in height, outsizing the shoes, which I found out late last night was a problem, but expanding our view of ourselves and the world. This was certainly true for me. If you came back in 8th grade, I would not be anywhere close to this podium. You'd find me underneath that stairwell playing Minecraft, deeply entrenched in its culture. Jeez, excuse me there. Moving on. Get away from that. None of us have stayed the same. Though we are not the celebrated sesquicentennial class, and yes, I also had to work on that word, Mr. Conhini, we are the 151st graduates from King. We now represent that next chapter, especially in alumni giving, and we are one of the most respected and highest achieving classes in our school's history. Instead of fighting in the hallways, we take our aggression out on the field, where football won New England's and lacrosse won FAA's. Yes, Mr. Conhini stepped on me there a little bit. On an individual level, we have a group of outstanding athletes who will be pursuing their sports at college this year. As someone who really can't do good sports, that's why I run. Easy, right? We have Kara Shatton, who has led the volleyball team to, I think, 3 years of undefeated seasons. I can't keep track. There's something like in the 150 range of wins. 2 years of FAs in New England, and she will be heading to West Point next year, where she'll be playing volleyball. Again, round of applause. Sean Hayes is 4th in the world in rowing under 18 and will be rowing at Harvard. Sophie Perez will be rowing at UPenn. Cole Dorsey at GW. And even though I once sailed with Bron Brackman, it didn't hurt him too much. He is currently ranked #1 in the world for under 18 after his victory in Malaysia last year and will be sailing at Tufts. Kelly Catano is swimming for Bucknell, and even though I can't get that bottle of water in the garbage can from 10 feet away, Trey Cannavaro shot over 1,000 career basketball points and will be playing for Muhlenberg next year. So when we entered the upper school, we each had our own personal ambitions. They were as simple as getting those annoying lockers open, always turn one past the combo, guys, or as complicated as surviving Mr. Cusack's freshman geometry course. We have all faced our own challenges. As we progressed up the food chain, we matured. Our mindset changed from personal to community, and in addition to surviving for our own success, we began to think about our surroundings. Personally, it was important to me to see that debate club thrived. Others strive to improve Model UN, the dress code, or simply arguing for and removing yucca fries. Thank you, Peter. We grew up. Instead of selling Red Bull and Gatorade out of lockers, J.D. Hawks and Richard Gervais' investment club strategies have led to King winning the stock market challenge for the past 2 years. Instead of leaving the art room a mess, we have celebrated Sidney Gumner's, Emily Solomon's, and Susie Savage's national and regional art awards. Through these accomplishments, we have learned that we are stronger together. Instead of trashing the Hartford Science Museum, a low point in middle school, we have expanded our horizons into the world of technology. If you've been on campus in the past 2 months, you would have seen Jack Tollick zipping around on his homemade electric skateboard because, quote, why buy one when you can build one for half price and then have King pick up the tab? You would have also heard about how Will Nash beat out over 10,000 other students to become #2 in the world in physics. Round of applause is in order. These achievements, while amazing, don't necessarily equate to dollar signs and a livable income. But I am so glad to say that King graduates today are ready to become functioning members of society. We're at $10 an hour, thank you, Dan Malloy. We can easily repay our repay our King tuition, and then start on those college loans. We're really set up for success there. While some of us are up the creek, there are a few who have already created profitable professions. Will Millerchip is hired to create professional films for snowboarders and skiers. So he's got to go down the side of a very steep hill holding a very expensive piece of camera equipment and then great footage. I can't pull that off. Austin Albano runs a DJing business, and Carter Borchetta uses his drone to film all the wonders for website aerial footage, which they did rip off from him. They didn't say it was by him. It's just King's now. we have learned through our academic, athletic, and business pursuits is that other people are around not just to help out. This isn't just a transaction. We have come together as a community, celebrating our victories and supporting each other through adversity. Rather than being dragged to sing in front of the elderly as we were in middle school, we have dedicated time to actual volunteer work. Logan Katz is sponsored, let's think about this for a second, sponsored to play video games. That's a great job right there. And has nearly raised almost $2,000 for veterans organizations. And Samantha Ehlers uses her knowledge and skill with horses at the charity Pegasus to provide special needs children with the freedom of movement, which they do not normally have. Over the years, and this is where I'm going to contrast with Nisha here, whether or not we like it or not, we have become a family, even if Facebook says we're only friends. Yes, it's sappy, but it's the truth. We have our fair share of family feuds, but at the end of the day, we're all going to miss this. And I know right now, one of my classmates, maybe even Nisha, is saying that that's a load of bull. I can't wait to get away from all these people and away from Jonathan's junk speech. But I'd like to wager otherwise. Even that person, Nisha, will look back on King and realize what they had. So here's the wager. Nisha, 20 big bucks says that in 5 years from now, you're gonna come back and look at what you had in a positive light. We can use Facebook to keep track of that and make sure I check up on this whole endeavor. So at the end of the day, there won't be another class of 2017. Not just because calendar years don't repeat, but because we provided a unique dynamic to the school. Rambunctious and destructive at times, but overall positive and hopefully uplifting. So at the end of the day, are we ready to think fast? I hope so, but that's not for me to decide. I've laid out all the facts to this point. It is really up to everyone here, the class of 2017, to find out if we can think fast. So as Neil deGrasse Tyson said, it's let's make America, not great, but smart again. And to the class of 2017, it is time to walk proudly into the future. The known and unknown, because it is ours to be explored and claimed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Richter. Tom Conheeney, Marnie Sidlusky, and I will now present the diplomas.
Sean Christopher Wallace Hayes. William Kurt Nash. Ethan Moore Bruck. Trey Anthony Canavari. Brett Beatty Raker. Matthew Ryan Goodfellow. Jared Browse Bunder. Flynn Jameson McMorrow. Carl August Zobek. Richard Allen Haight. John Douglas Hawk Jr. Cole Joseph Dorsey. Ian Henry Bender. Peter Courtright Green. John Charles Keating III. Benjamin Oliver Steib. William Alexander Millerchip. Richard Nicholas Jove. John Lincoln Spencer III. Hi. Congratulations. Thinking fast. Carter James Borchetta. Garrett Carl Waldner. Logan Alexander Katz. Miles Walter McQuillan. Bradley Joseph DeModica. Owen Clark Bass. Jeffrey DeBus Miller. Samuel Wallace Hauk. Jack Slater Rosen. John Brassler Kane. Thomas Joseph DeBow IV. Jack Graham Tulloch. John Luis Sanchez. James Paul Mahalski. Spencer William Gold. Benjamin Eric Nadler. David Allen Fox. Michael Panos Burke. Jeremy Santos Toscano. Caroline Ann Sider. Kara Lynn Shatton. Amelia Louisa Hunt. Sophie Arena Hunt. Amy DeCamp Madigan. Stephanie Iverson Schwartz. Ella Reed Bruck. Bram Alexander Brockman. Brandon Jared Ross. Adele Monique McGoran. Tatum Ella Fine. Nicole Blair Frankenfield. Callie Louise Bartimer. Andrew Giwala. Austin Healy Albano. Jane Tully. Kelly Elizabeth Catano. Nicole Garcia. Rachel Nicole Sherman. Charlotte Cameron Reese. Samantha Ann Ellers. Memphis Mackenzie Moy. Miles Alejandro Johnson. Joao Pedro Leite. Noah Frederick Schneider. Elizabeth Stonestreet Ciola. Zoe Nell Clark. Samantha Claire Houle. Sydney Paige Gubner. Josephine Van Buren Lewis. Talia Renee Newman. Maya Marcella Mandava. Emily Barnes Solomon. Allison Carter Norton. Megan Rose Glinka. Caroline Helena Benjamin. Tiani Brianna Brito. Autumn Nicole Iafrati. Kathleen Claire Wamond. Mary Catherine Charkalis. Crystal Kimberly Sonko. Carmen Blackwell Gundy. Sophie Isabella Perez. Suzanne Catherine Savage. Kayla Sadie Lichman. Claire Margaret Morris. Lily Georgia Fox. Brittany Nicole Lombardi. Jonathan Scott Richter. Nisha Chandra.
I present the class of 2017. And now I believe we all stay standing. And I hope we will all follow Kathy Mishkin's lead and sing America the Beautiful, which is printed on the back of your program. At its best. Thank you. Please be seated. We are very close to being finished. Very close. As many of you know, to formally start the school year, the seniors ring bells in an all-school assembly, and then they share the bells with everybody pre-K to 11, and everyone that can grab one of the bells rings that bell, and the school year is started. It's a real community event. This ceremonial start of the school year with about 850 people in the gym reaching out to have an opportunity to start the school year in this way. We always begin the year together in this manner, and we always end here at commencement. As you recess, Mrs. Valentine and Mrs. Barrett will hand each of you a bell, which is yours to keep. It is inscribed with this commencement date and has the seal of the school. As you've been ringing in the school year, whether it was for the past 14 years or just a few years, please ring yourselves out as you recess for the last time. Graduates of the school, members of the school community, and the community of your graduating class. And be sure to make some noise with those bells. And also, just as a reminder, to keep your eyes and your focus on the important things in life and never to fill the jar with sand first. You'll each get a golf ball with your graduation year on it. Two final details regarding the hats you are wearing. And we talked about this a little bit. If I could ask you all to hold your tassels, make sure they are on the right side. They start on the right side. This is the moment you actually become graduates. Together on 3, you move them to the left side, from the right to the left. 1, 2, 3. There you go. And the second thing regarding the hats, it is traditional for a senior class to celebrate by tossing their hats into the air in unison, uniformly. And I'm going to say that the hats have sharp edges. And I'm asking the seniors to loft them high, have them sail. And I'm asking everybody, especially those of you in the front rows, to watch carefully and cover. On 3 with the hats. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Perfect. I hope we're all okay. I will now ask Reverend Lingle to come back to the podium and deliver the benediction, after which we'll have the recessional, and everybody is invited over for some light refreshments by the middle school. Thank you very much.
As you go on your way, may the blessing of the divine mystery go with you. In front of you to guide you, behind you to support you, beside you to befriend you, above you to watch over you, and within you to give you peace. And go in peace. Live in love. Amen.